Hey, yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? Welcome to Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast presented by DJ City and Beat Source. I'm one of your hosts, DJ Crooked. We got DJ Never here.
Yo, what up?
We got DJ D Miles.
What's good, what's good?
We got Jamie the Great.
Yeah.
And then we got a special guest. He's a good friend, a very good friend to the podcast. You know, we were hanging out with him in Austin, Texas. Comes to Vegas once in a while. He's the homie. He's a great DJ, a really good DJ. And we're glad to have him on. We've been wanting him on the podcast for a minute. But we got Austin and Texas's own DJ CRG. What up, fam?
Yes.
What up,
What's
man?
up, boys? What's up? How
What's
we doing?
good, man?
Good,
How you been, man?
Been good. Been good, you know. Came to visit y'all. Came to Vegas for a couple of days to see what's up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you went out last night?
Yeah, I went out last night at Jewel.
Yeah. How was that?
It was cool. Very different.
Actually,
you know?
I met him up, man. It was kind of popping, bro. I didn't know we was talking. What's that company? Cisco Systems. That huge company, like they're kind of like what do they do? Like they're like IBM, kind of like, right? Like
Yeah.
they have like I think a convention of like 30,000 people in time, and I think in town, and I think half of those 30,000 are staying at Aria.
Yeah.
So last night,
Damn.
like it was popping, like it was like mad corporate like energy, like
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of people there last night.
The energy was like there, you know, like it was a perfect time for like, you know, anything you dropped that the crowd was eating. It's like the perfect like storm whenever you're like, you have a crowd like that.
Yeah.
It just, you know, like you can tell like the vibe from the people, like who's like got money and all that, or where they're sitting at and all that, like the pretentiousness, like in a way, you know. But like when you see GA partying, you're like, oh, GA's lit, like they're having a good time. And then in the bottle service, people are just looking at each other, what they buying over there, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's cool, like it's just kind of like LA in a way, you know. But definitely seeing the prices of like what the sections cost compared to before the pandemic, you're just like, man, is this worth it? You know, you can probably go to Costa Rica for like $2,000 and stay there for a week and get to, you know, have a good time and do whatever you want without knowing what you're going to do over there. You know what I mean?
Wait, so you noticing changes in the scene,
Yeah, we were talking about that too. Because what would you say is the cost of 1942? Like the last time you remember buying or seeing someone buy it?
I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah. This is a wrong person to ask.
This is like asking like those people like how much like a carton of milk costs in the grocery. You know what I'm saying? But I happen to work in the grocery. I just don't know the prices.
Yeah.
I can't really tell you. Like I wouldn't be able to say. I'm assuming
Yeah.
a 1942 would cost 2 G's.
I would say 1,500.
I say
So-
1,500.
The last time I remember it,
I'm
I think
completely off.
2019, one of my friends bought one at Omni when I was DJing, and it was 1,400.
1,400.
Okay, not
Yep.
off.
How much did you pay last night?
So after tax and tip, it was like $19.50.
Yeah, 2 G's.
Yeah, 2 G's.
Yeah.
But like, I remember coming before the pandemic, like going to Omni and Jewel was like maybe 1,100 most plus tax and tip.
You know what's the problem though with 1942 is they're running out of it.
Oh yeah, it's hard to get. No,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
But I think that's the problem with a lot of shit now is that it's inflation, right?
Yeah.
So like a lot of shit that was available, like is like everyone's running out of the shit.
So it's funny, like right now I have a bunch of like young DJs, their first time coming to Vegas, and I'm trying to show them a good time and all that. And then they see the menu, like they're like talking about like, oh, so how we splitting the table? Are we putting all cards in? I'm like, no, this is Vegas. It's only one card, one ID. That's it. Somebody got to have a good credit line and then go from there. Like,
Wait, you can't split the bill in Vegas?
no, it's only one ID, one card. That's it.
I thought the maximum was 2.
Max is 2, yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
that's what I thought,
Max is 2 for sure. But like,
Wait, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Me neither.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
this
Wait,
was
so
like-
if I spend like 40 G's or 10,000, only 2 cards or 1 card could take care of it?
yep.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, shit. You must have a black card for that one.
Really?
Have all the homies start zelling you.
Oh no, like literally. So like, I was sober, obviously, like, you know, and I was like taking care of it and making sure, like, it was funny, like, cause my boy is the one that did the invites.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, so who's gonna put the card down? I was like, what do you mean? We're just gonna split it. I was like, this ain't Austin where you get a bottle of Casamigos for $300, like,
Yeah.
and just split the tab with your boys. Like, it's only one card or ID. They take your picture. You're gonna sign your initials 5 times. You're gonna put a signature. You're gonna do all that. Then I was like, oh shit, I know it was like a contract kind of thing. I was like, oh yeah, like they're like, well, I only got a debit card. I was like, what? I was like, how's your credit score? And I'm like, come on, guys, like we got to get your credit up. Like, go get some credit and all that. Like, they don't know nothing about that, you know. Like, so I was like, luckily, like, you know, I've been in the game long enough to like have like good credit and all that. I was like,
Yeah.
I guess I'll put my Amex Platinum, but I was already like,
So you put your rush card down?
yeah.
He called Neva to get approved. Like, hey,
Russell Simmons just popped out of nowhere.
Hey, thank you very much. Have a good night.
So I was just like, yo, like, all right, I'll put my card down, but I was already putting those Venmo requests. I'm like, I'm not even drinking, like, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
I'm showing them a good time, like that way they know the experience. They're like, yo, like this is what it costs to be here, like, you know, it's just.
Wait, so you came out and you brought a bunch of young Austin DJs with you?
Yeah.
What was the occasion? Just to kind of check out the scene?
So one of them is it's one of his birthdays, and like he's gone to Vegas before, but like he's like sent out all these invites, and like
Right.
this is like new DJ group that's coming there. They're in like young 20s, right, going like 26,
Right.
and I guess they're trying to experience more, you know, and I get that, you know, go experience the markets and all that. Yeah. And I guess Vegas was the idea because obviously like Vegas is probably one of the only cities that I know that parties Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe next to LA, right? But obviously to get in LA is going to be like hard as hell. So he decided to go to Vegas, and I like try to explain all these things to him, and he's like, yo, I didn't know that. I mean, he was trying to get a table from the online website. And I'm like, come on, bro. Like you could just hit up a promoter, man. Like somebody can listen to this podcast right now and be like, yo, don't ever go like on the online website. Like just look up a promoter on Instagram or a Vegas hashtag, like, oh, he's a promoter, hit him up. Like, hey, you know, that's what they do nowadays. But yeah.
I thought it was dope that like he brought his younger DJ crew with him, because that's how I actually met him.
Yeah.
Was our boy Duano, I want to say like 2014 is when I met you at Live Ultra Lounge.
Yeah.
And he would bring out his younger generation of DJs, like his openers, some of the hosts, promoters, bartenders, and show them Vegas. And now to see him doing the same thing,
That's dope.
with his younger generation is kind of dope. You know what I mean? It's like he's paying it forward to them dudes.
Yeah, I mean, I owe Duano a lot because like,
Shout out to Duano, yeah.
yeah, because if it wasn't for him, he wouldn't give me the blueprint that I know all this stuff now. Like me knowing D Miles, like he was the booker for Live. So at the time, like, you know,
Live in
San Antonio.
It was
San
called Live.
Antonio.
There's a big drama about that too, a cease and desist stuff. But that club doesn't exist
We
no
gotta
more.
make sure we clear
I know
up.
that right
When you
there.
say Live, motherfuckers think Miami.
my eyes is like,
exactly.
what, Miami?
I mean, that was a cease and desist. But
Because you know,
Where, Miami?
Dave Grumman listens to this sometimes.
Yeah.
Bro,
So this is Live with the E, Live.
Yeah, Live. I mean, so when they
It's
first
live.
It's live.
live.
Yeah, it was actually live.
Yeah, so when they first opened, they did have the LIV, and then they sent a cease and desist, so that's why they added the E. It was funny. I mean, the club doesn't exist anymore, so we can talk about it. But like,
Right.
so like, while like Duano did the booking, he'd take him out to dinner and all that. He was like, hey, are you gonna open up for these guys? And that's how I got to meet D Miles and like some of the guys from.
So D Miles would come out to San Antonio to do Live, and then you would open,
Yeah.
and then you would take him, and then you'd be hanging out during dinner. and shit
Yeah.
like
So
that.
like, and then that's one of my blessings because like, you know, Duano like at the time he still is the guy in San Antonio, but like I was coming in like 3 years in DJing, but I was seeing these top talents that would play in Vegas, Miami, all over the US. So to me, it was just like a big learning like step. Like I was like skipping ahead instead of like just listening to like local DJs, you know, like getting to hear D Miles, seeing like, you know, Chachi, Beat Breaker, like guys that were like playing all over the US. It was a blessing for me because I was taking notes while I was opening for these guys, you know?
Yeah.
So it gave me like a good learning curve. Like, oh man, like, all right. And then that actually made me be friends with some of these guys. Like, you know, like I've known D's when I come to Vegas, I'll hit them up like, hey, what you doing? You know? I think I met you at Omnia with Duano actually, but you were sloshed.
Really?
It was after your Heart at Omnia set.
Are you mistaking me for somebody else?
Oh, there's a picture for it.
No, you know what it was? It was MK, bro. It wasn't you. It
wasn't MK.
It was MK.
There's another
There's no
DJ
way.
at Omnia, and he's a Korean DJ, and he looks very much like me.
Oh, no. I mean, you were tagged down there and everything. I could pull it up later.
Oh, jeez.
Got receipts.
So I was DJing at Hard Omnia.
Yeah, and then you finished, and then I was just like, I mean, I've obviously like I've heard your mixes, your Cabrillion Blow mixes, and I'm like, man, this is like, you know, like when I first got to meet you, I was like, but yeah, you were pretty like, it was a good introduction. Not like everybody else is like, oh, crooked as ass. I was like, oh, what's up, man? Nice to meet you and all that. So
What did I do? How did you know I was sloshed? What was I doing?
Because he was nice.
Yeah. You're just like very like hospitable, like, you know, just laughing a lot and all that. It was like you weren't like grumpy or anything like that, what everybody says back in the day, I guess. But
What did you say? I was grumpy.
What is this?
I'm a grumpy ass motherfucker, man. That's crazy. Wait, so I didn't do anything crazy or anything, right?
No. I mean, I made sure to like not talk to you because obviously like behind the DJ booth while you were DJing at Heart, I'm like, you can tell you're just laser focused. Like, oh, he's the kind of guy you don't reach whenever, like. But I mean, I was literally probably DJing 3 years in. Like, that was like my first time in Omni and all that. Yeah. So like that, I'll say that was probably like what now, 6 years ago now.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
2016-ish.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. So like, what is you said like you went out last night and it was cool. Like, well,
It just, you know, like.
Where did the Vegas sparkle like leave?
Man,
And you paid that $2,000 for the 1942.
so
I hate this city.
He paid 1942
He's
for
like,
1942.
you motherfuckers got no credit. I got to put my now $2,000 on my credit
No,
card.
hold on. Kirk, you didn't hear what he said. He said, I had to put my American Express Platinum down. He said,
He put his rush card down. We all know.
Platinum still got to get paid at the end of the month, though. I mean, I'll take the points all day, man. I'm trying to travel for free, you know?
That makes points are the best.
Yeah.
They're the best.
So, no, yeah, man, like, I mean,
You just bought one bottle.
I mean, like, back in the day, like, you know, like, everybody talks about
He
this.
skipped over that question.
yeah,
I know,
he said,
right? Yeah. I said you bought one bottle.
Oh, nah. Ian, shoot, they even threw some little comps in there, you know? But,
That's good.
That's
So,
dope.
yeah. So,
They should.
Of course.
extra cranberry.
See, that's the one thing I expect out of Vegas. Back in the day, if you were from out of town and you were a nightlife, they took care of you no matter what.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like that anymore. I think it is still.
I think,
But, you know,
it's changed a lot because before, like, there was some certain people that worked there, and after the pandemic, it was like a new crew.
right.
And so, like, there's a lot of new relationships you got to build.
Yeah, I
up.
go to the door a lot and I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
We're DJs here.
It's totally different now, man.
I have to like give them my bio a little bit. Like, like I DJ here, I DJ there.
It's not like LA where it's like, I don't care
And
who
then
you
there's
are.
always that one host that was there from the beginning. They see you like, oh shit, yeah, let him in. Come on, you know who that is?
Crooked don't know who the fuck that is.
Cooking,
Yeah, what's up, my man? That's my man, you know?
But I mean, yeah, like, I don't know, like, you know, when you think of Vegas back in the day, like, I mean, now, like, that I've gotten to being like in different cities, there's clubs that are just as nice, you know, and like, you know, like, yeah, you get the melting pot of Vegas, like, all around the world and all that, but like, you know, something about going to like other cities where like, you know, for example, you go to Boston, you know, you go to like Shrine in Connecticut and all that. They're like venues where you're like, oh man, this feels like you're in Vegas, you know, and it's not like cutthroat where like it's like money driven, like, you know, they show hospitality from the front. Hey, how y'all doing and all that, you know. Like even like waiting in line is not as bad like compared to like Vegas. You're like, all right, who you with? All right, give me a second. And then somebody comes in and then that person's way more important than the other one. So like they're going to get in first and all that. You know, over there it's just like, you know, and it just comes to show like how much nightlife has grown with clubs, you know, like, but then like we talk about also like the formula that y'all talk about recently on the podcast. And it's just like.
So like you're talking about like the musical programming, like the DJs.
Right.
So like the DJs, no matter how good they are, and no matter how versatile they can be, they're following this Vegas formula.
Yeah.
So everyone sounds the same, right?
And so like,
Yeah.
when you think about going to Vegas, you're like, oh, I'm about to hear some of the top DJs. But then you go other cities that have the kind of like the same like production speakers and all that, and they're like killing it. I'm like way better than like a Vegas set. And you're just coming to learn like, wow, like there's so much out there that, you know, like that Vegas is, I think like back in the day I wanted to DJ in Vegas. Now it's just like, man, I feel like you can go do other spots and you're going to be able to play your brand, what you've built, what you've done, you know?
Right.
So instead of just playing the commercial, like cutthroat, all like what works, you know?
What you're talking about is everyone now. So like there was this, I guess, formula for bottle service clubs, big room clubs, and everyone in the 2010s, Vegas was leading.
Yeah.
Right. So Vegas was ahead of the market in like big rooms, light shows, you know,
Cryo,
everything. Now everyone's kind of caught up But the great thing is, if you go to different cities, there's a character, there's a regional,
like a hometown.
there's a regional
Yeah.
hometown
Yeah.
feel, and they're playing the regional hits.
Right.
So you're like, wow, I feel like I'm in Miami. I feel like I'm in Texas. I feel like I'm in
Chicago.
Chicago, New York, because I'm hearing shit that's popping in Chicago and that's regional.
in the city.
But then you come into Vegas and you don't have that edge. There's, it's like it's not leaning to one side. It's really dead in the middle, and it's super safe. But it's part of this old, maybe like a predictable, redundant formula.
Right.
And it just isn't as interesting as it was 5 to 8 years ago or whatever the fuck.
And I think another thing too is like music's in a weird place. Like there's no like for me, there's no song of the summer, to be honest with you. Like, like how y'all talked about, like,
Well, the Nicki Minaj, right? That's
That's the one cooking up.
man, believe it or
Super
not, I'm
freaky-
actually
super
getting
freaky
requested.
girl.
I'm getting requested to play that. I'm just like, come on, girls.
You know, it's funny, when on the way here, he was like, yo, like, they were playing a lot of EDM
Yeah.
last night. And I was like, yo, I feel like it's surfacing again. Like, the hip hop, not to say it's bad, but I just feel like for the club environment, it's not as suitable. So now, like, a lot of these EDM records are coming back in. A lot of these, like, up-tempo Latin records.
I mean,
coming
yeah,
back in,
like,
right?
I mean,
But even these like tech house remixes of
Saying
hip hop.
that,
So
yeah.
you have like 50 Cent.
The, like,
in the
early
club,
2000s R&B.
the reason why
yeah.
that stuff is working is because, like, you got to think about it. Like, if I was in the 2000s at that time, I was 21, 22, right? So now I'm 32 years old, and you have these samples. The nostalgia is there. You're like, oh, I remember this, but it sounds different. So you keep that nostalgia.
Well, the thing is like it's kind of funny. We just had that episode with Shecky, and he was saying that the BPMs go up as the economy goes down, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's almost like you need a cocaine version of In the Club.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
you need a cocaine version of
Right.
some of these R&B or 2000s hip hop anthems, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody and they're like, yo, the BPMs are going up because people are going broke, and they're depressed, but they're also doing more drugs.
Yeah.
And they're doing more coke. And when
numb
you
the
do more
feeling.
coke and when
You're
when you're doing these drugs and you know what I'm saying, you want faster, more
You want
aggressive
to
music.
stay high.
They want more.
Yeah.
They want more.
You need that energy to keep
Yeah.
going and going and going.
So it's like,
crazy.
so I was like, it makes sense that we're hearing like it makes sense why tech house is kind of booming a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's basically hip hop and R&B on cocaine.
Yeah.
Right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Great analogy. Another one by Crooked, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean,
It's great. It's really perfect.
That's a good teaser right
That's a
there.
good
That's a
one.
good teaser.
I don't know if DJ C's going to want to say it.
You put cocaine on hip hop, and this is what we get.
I don't know if Beats or DJ C want to promote.
yeah, I mean,
cocaine.
Like,
Cocaine in hip hop is crazy.
but it's crazy, yeah. Like what we're talking about too. Like, I mean, I've never heard so much Latin be played at Jewel. Like, I was always usually hip hop.
Yeah.
And maybe like 2 or 3 tracks of EDM. Like,
That is the only interesting thing happening in Vegas right now is the Latin explosion.
Yeah.
I sound like Trump, right?
Yeah.
That is the only thing interesting happening in Vegas right now.
Fake news, hip hop.
The hip hop explosion is exploding.
Where'd that
I
voice
said
come
it
from?
before. I'll say it again. The Latin music is exploding in Vegas. No. It's exploding.
Fake news. They're saying the hip hop is back. No,
Fake news.
fake news. I'm Trumpito.
The strip isn't what it used to be. We're going to bring it back. We're going to make it fantastic. We're going to make it great. And Latin music is going to lead the way.
This is so good. Trump, ladies and gentlemen. That was incredible.
Trump would never say that. either, right? The future is in Latin music.
Oh, hell no.
It's all about guaracha. Guaracha is the future.
That was hilarious. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but I'm saying like there's a Latin explosion going on. It's saving a lot of these venues. Like a lot of these day pools are doing Latin events.
Yeah.
There's downtown is exploding with Exile,
Altura.
and Altura, and Pareo Saturdays, right?
Yeah.
Those guys are killing it. AR and Exile, and then you have Dynamic coming in for Elia Beach. Then you have Yo-Yoli,
Yeah.
killing at Deseo and Omnia.
yeah,
Jason.
on Sundays.
Jason Maven.
Mavis,
Jason's doing
yeah.
this thing downtown.
He has the daylight on a Saturday night too.
Yeah,
right?
Petty.
Oh, he has that.
Petty,
Yeah, he has that Sunday party at Daylight as well. I mean, there's literally on the strip. There's like 4 to 5 Latin parties a week.
I mean, like, yeah, like, so
And
it
then
was,
DJs are playing it in and out of their sets as well.
I mean, yeah, so he was playing, like, who was it? I'm trying to remember who it was, but
Four Eyes?
It was either Four Eyes or Sour Milk, but he was doing EDM, and then he went to a WAP, Guaracha, and it hit so hard. I was just like, wow, like. But the thing is, the crazy part is, like, when he was playing the Latin set, like, it was a good hot minute. Everybody was singing it.
Yeah.
And, like, people that don't even know what they're singing. And it was just, like, made me, like, eyes open, like, yo, this is, like, because I feel like sometimes Vegas is ahead, like, when it comes to, like, music changing, not, like, I guess, like, West Coast music, they're going to go be ahead way than the South and the East and all that. But, like, for sure, like, seeing, like, white people, like, singing, like, Osuna and all that, I was just like, man, like, and it's slowly becoming that in Texas, too. Like, I've noticed that New York, Florida, all that, like, you know, white people are listening. They don't mind listening to Bad Bunny and all that, but that's another whole subject with the request of Bad Bunny and stuff. So
Yeah.
Do you think that, like, we talked about it on that, like, a few episodes with, like, maybe like the Bay, right? Like, with all the transplants coming, it kind of like shaped the music a little bit. Do you think that's happened in Austin?
it has, because, man, like, even like with the mic work and all that, when I say if you're from out of town, make some noise, you actually get a louder pop from that than from like Texas, Austin local people. Like, you know, even like New Yorkers will hit me up like, hey man, so what is there to do after 2 a.m.? And like now, like the whole after hour scenes in Austin starting to blow up because people still want to keep going. Like New York's used to like getting done at 5 a.m. and all that. So now like you've been seeing like hip hop rooms be after hours, like some tech house rooms or like EDM rooms becoming after hours. So like that's becoming a thing now because like you get all these New Yorkers, West Coasters like coming in like, and they're like wanting to keep raging. So yeah, like the music's definitely changed. Like now you're like playing like extremely super open format now, like, you know, and that's a dope thing. Like it's a fun because it's like kind of reminds me of that like AM era. Like I'm literally like trying to do like sets like that and like they eat it up and it's awesome to see that, you know.
You're witnessing a change in Austin, especially after or during the pandemic when everyone in Cali was leaving LA and stuff and they're going to Austin. So you're watching the city grow and boom, and all these tech companies are now invading Austin in the past few years. The neighborhoods and everything's changing. But like what you're seeing in these DJ sets, or you know how you're approaching it, is that, do you think that formula of like, hey, I'm a headliner, I have to play the top hits from 12 to 2 a.m. is like, that's not necessary anymore?
Nah, I think it's not necessary.
For Austin?
Yeah, for Austin, I don't think it's necessary anymore. I mean, there's so much you can like obviously there's certain venues, like if it's like a big production place,
right?
You know, you're going to do that big production stuff. It's a hip hop venue, you're going to do the hip hop. But like the reason like some of these business like places that like we made a formula with like Bungalow, Parlor Room, and Key Bar, we built this formula where we're playing like stuff like that. And like now like the crowd knows that if we want to hear that kind of music, you're going to go there, you know. And you know, it was hard to find DJs that know that kind of like music knowledge because it's like, you know, some of these guys just came for a check but didn't do like music research. So like now we have like the guys that we work for, which is like J Melodies and Anthem, like they've like gotten their music knowledge so good so they can jump from like, I mean, they play it all, like, you know, and you know, to go to those venues, that's what you're gonna get. And like luckily, like we've been able to, like, even tourists, like they'll be like, yo, if you want to have a good time, go to these venues. And on top of that, like you can still get bottle service, but it's not like the girls are dressed up and all that. You're still gonna have like a section where you sit with your like bachelorettes, your bachelor, and you're gonna have a good time, drink some champagne while everybody's just having a good time singing along to everything.
Well, like the Austin scene's different too, right? So like you have like sections, like you have that street, Rainey Street.
Yeah.
It's like, and there's like, I don't know how many clubs are on that street,
Man,
how many bars.
So before the pandemic,
Yeah.
oh man, there was a bar almost in every corner. Now like everything's getting gutted. Like money is taking over. Like, you know, obviously Bungalow like was like one of the top bars in on West next to where DJ Nice DJ at Unbar, R.A.P. And
yeah, rest in peace to DJ Nice.
and now it's high rises are going in there. Like, so there's like 3 new high rises.
So they're shutting down the nightlife area.
Yeah. So
why are they targeting that area?
I don't. You know what's crazy? Like I thought it. Like I think once because it's not historical. You know, and like historical, you got to go to like the historic, like the city council and all that to get approved. But because I think it's not historical and like they own the property, like the guys are just selling the property. And like, you know, when we were told Bungalow was going to close, like we're like, there's no way like this, we have to find a way to stop this. And like even the owners tried and they were like, no, like the amount of money they offered, I was like, man, you couldn't pass it up.
So it's like San Francisco in like the early 2010s.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's like you guys are gonna have like the tech invasion, and it's gonna kind of destroy,
and
it's gonna actually destroy the local scene,
and that's
like what it did to San Francisco.
And that's what I'm afraid of. Like, you know, I've like the amount of stories I hear about how much San Francisco changed,
and
like,
it's funny because I always see Austin as the San Francisco of Texas.
Yeah.
And then the same thing.
And Rainey Street is just such a great example of it because when I've gone and even when I've played, there's such a like dope local presence. And then even like it's like conversions right there, like old homes that are converted into like these bars and nightclubs. So there's like this like nostalgia of the city with these spots.
Yeah.
And it's like to see that go away, man, it's just kind of whack.
But there's one street, Rainey Street. Yeah. There's like a bar next to a bar, next to a club, next to a club, next to a club.
Yeah.
And they don't charge.
It's just
I mean, there's no cover.
There's no cover
anywhere in Austin.
And there's like no guest list or anything, right?
The only places you're probably gonna find cover is like Latin places, just because there's not enough Latin venues. So like if you want to go have a good time to go listen to this Latin music, most of the time they're gonna be charging cover and all that. But like, yeah, I mean, yeah, like back in the day before Rainey, and I'll be honest with you, when I like first DJ there, I mean, it was like just crack houses, straight up. It was like the slums.
What year was that?
Where are we at? 2022. So I'll say probably like 2014 before, you know, like.
Wait, so Rainey Street in 2014 was like it was crack houses?
It was just like bad. Like,
really?
Yeah, it was so bad. Like people used to say.
Wait, so that bar scene where there's a bar next to each other, that's only been around for like 6-7 years?
Yeah, that's only been, yeah. So like, I remember even going like.
How is that possible?
Yeah, that shit was
How is that
massive.
possible that so many bars can open all at once on one street?
I mean, at the time, like it was really cheap to buy houses and all that. And like there was like the permit and all that. I mean, I'm telling you, like a house that you were able to get probably back in 2015, 2014 for 400,000 is probably going for 1.6 million now.
Right.
So like,
and it's Austin, and I remember in the 2000s there wasn't really a nightlife scene in Austin. Like I would never get booked in Austin, and I think I had one gig in Austin, Texas, in the like 2010 or something, and it was horrific. It was like pretty bad.
It was just like local, like, you know, for us.
The biggest thing was what, South by Southwest.
Yeah, I mean that was the biggest
But
thing.
that wasn't even club oriented. It was like more.
They had to
like,
build out
Yeah.
clubs for that.
Yeah, so I mean, they even bought like it's crazy how much even South by has changed because back in the day, like being in college, like when like I will visit from San Antonio to Austin, like they will buy like companies will buy parking lots and then create a stage.
Right.
And I mean, I even saw Skrillex and Diplo play in an alleyway, which is a dirty alleyway too. Like it was stuff like that, you know, and.
But that's cool.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's
like,
interesting,
dude. It's
right?
dope. Like you're just walking around. Like I mean, I had Kendrick Lamar's and Big Sean's mixtape CD whenever giving them out on 6th Street. Still have it somewhere, and it's just like to know like how like that's kind of gone away. It's got very corporate, and that's where I feel like Austin has gone to, like very corporate.
So this nightlife scene that exploded, right? It really is only 6 or 7
That's
years
fresh.
old.
Yeah, super fresh.
And Austin never really had that scene.
No, it did, and I mean. It did, but it was just like, it was just fun because it was districts, you know, like San Antonio doesn't have districts. It was like, if you go in San Antonio to DJ, like you DJ at one spot up north and then your other venue will be down south. There was no like bar hopping over there. So like we went to Austin just to bar hop.
So San Antonio is like destination.
Like
you go to these clubs.
You're committed. If you're going to go to this club, you're committed
all
for that
night.
night, no matter what.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, so like, so we went to Austin because you bar hop, but that was it. You really like, there was no big clubs. It was like all the bars are probably like 150 max each one.
Yeah.
And it's all like 30 bars right next to each other. So that's why you went, you know. It was like the bourbon kind of thing, but it wasn't like as rough as it is now because obviously like it's gotten rougher there too, you know, because the east side got gentrified, you know, and that's where like people used to be at. Like back in the day, you went to the east side, it was just like trash.
In Austin?
Yeah, in Austin. Like, so the east side is like east of 35.
So the east side was like hood?
Yeah, it was like hood, like, you know, and now it's like you have all these buildings, you know, like all these new apartments and all that. And it's
You got like a Jamba Juice there?
oh yeah, we have a
coffee shop.
So we don't call them Jamba Juice. We have like a Austin local thing. It was called Juice Land. But yeah, we have a Juice Land, and you go in there and just get some juices and all that. But like,
Wow.
you know, there's a Chipotle there, there's a Whole Foods. Like none of that was there. There's a Target. Like then none of it was there. It was just beat up houses.
So
like,
you're from Houston, right?
so born and raised in Houston. Yeah,
You were born and raised in Houston, and then you went to college in San Antonio.
yeah. I went to UCSA
then-
in 09.
And then you linked up with Duano.
Yeah.
And then you started DJing in San Antonio.
Right.
And then you moved to Austin.
Yeah.
So, and you DJ in Dallas as well.
Sometimes, yeah. I get booked like at least once a month there and all that.
So
yeah,
like the
but
4 major cities, I mean, I guess there's 5, right? There's
Yeah.
El Paso,
El Paso for sure.
El Paso, Houston, Dallas, Austin,
San Antonio.
and San Antonio.
Right.
What is the biggest market for nightlife?
Ooh, I say Dallas for sure.
Dallas.
Yeah, but that's because it's like the LA pretensions of Texas. So like a lot of the old money's there, and so like a lot of like guys from oil fields and all that, they like grew up in Dallas. Like
So Dallas is like LA.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
like pretentious. Right. Okay.
And then I think second will be Houston, and then probably third I'll say.
When I think of Houston, I think of strip clubs.
I mean, yeah, that's what they're known for all day. I mean, Drake literally sometimes buys out the whole venue and like has a private party to himself like at least once a month.
So like Dallas, it's more old money. So you're gonna get like probably more like EDM house or like, you know, not maybe some you know, some hip hop or whatever. How is it out there?
So you're gonna get everything, you know,
Everything.
like, you know, if you go like, for example, like you go to Greenlight Dallas, you're gonna get like the whole like Vegas experience, right?
Right.
Then you go to Citizen, it's gonna be like hip hop heavy. Then you go to Bottle Blonde, it's like a sports lounge. So you get almost like all that same area. You get like one kind of a thing. you
So
know?
if I'm a DJ in Texas, do I want to be like, yo, I want to be a Dallas, I want to be a DJ in Dallas, or no?
Yes, because they pay the best.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, and on top of that, like if you're a good DJ, you get booked.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like they see your worth and all that. And most of the time, they even try to put you on contract. Like, hey, we're gonna promise you this amount of days.
Yeah.
Don't go play anywhere else. We'll take care of you.
Okay.
So they're known for that. You know, that's probably the only city where I know. Like, I mean, I see some of my Dallas homies. They're always on some like expensive stuff. Of like, man, they take care of y'all over there, man. I'm like, damn. Like,
Are they hiring?
So then what do you think is the second market? You said Houston.
I would say Houston for sure. I mean, Houston's like on the top 5 cities, like population wise. The only thing I will say, like, it's gotten very hip hop heavy. So like if like, and obviously strip clubs being like one of the things that everybody goes to Houston for.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you go out there, you're definitely gonna hear some hip hop there. I'm just like, wow, I've never heard this. This is pretty cool, you know.
I always felt Houston was more hip hop than anything.
I mean,
Just because there's so many rappers that
Yeah,
come out.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
and that's where original like the Slim Thugs and all that, you know. like-
And even in like
Stonewall, you-
Scarface,
all
all
that.
them dudes,
Yeah.
Ghetto
Ghetto
Boys.
Boys.
So like Houston had that like reputation for a
I mean,
while.
even like Meg Thee Stallion, all of them. Yeah.
I mean, Beyonce's from Houston. So yeah. So like, you know, that's, you know, like that's where it comes from. And, you know, and I mean, you're still going to get like, you know, the Clay Group obviously gets their like big headliners and all that. And like they got a Bottle Blonde as well over there and all that. But you're going to get all that. You're still going to get it, but you're going to get more hip hop for sure in Houston. Like, you know, if you're trying to look for the, I don't want to call it ratchet, but if you're looking for the ratchetness, you know, that's where to go for sure. And then Austin, I would say is more like a tourist. Like we get a lot of bachelor and bachelorettes there for sure. But because it's like, there's a lot to do. Like, you know, you can go to the lake, you can do like the wine, like a lot of wine touring is over there too by Austin.
but it's more laid back, right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
It's kind of like less formal.
Yeah.
Like you said, like you don't need a reservation, you don't need bottle service, you don't need guest list.
Yeah.
And then
you can hop around. and
University of
shit.
Texas is like, I think 1 or 2 in the largest universities in the country.
Yeah.
Maybe number 1 next to Ohio State, right? So it's like,
Yeah,
I
so
think
it's just still like a college party city for sure. Like like what's crazy is before the pandemic, you felt summers be slow. Like now with everybody moving in, it's like
Steady is busy.
steady,
Yeah.
but like it's been so hot. So like all these outdoor venues have been like hurting. Like, I mean, it's been hitting like 113 with humidity. Like,
Wow.
you know, so like back in the day, like last year, like throwing a day party, was the best thing. This year has been like, man, it's been so hot that people wait till the sun comes down, and then they'll go out and all that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what is and then what's left? San Antonio and El Paso.
Yeah, El Paso has a big EDM scene. I mean, a lot of festivals are
Really?
there. Yeah, like, and then the land scene's like really big there. Like that for sure. Like,
well, it's so close to Mexico,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Juarez, right?
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like, they always booking like big EDM acts, and they're very loyal there. Like, you know, if you talk about El Paso, like any of my friends that have like moved to Austin from El Paso, they're like, hey, where's there to listen to EDM only and all that? It's like that they love that. They love it there. And then San Antonio, like, I mean, it's like, it's a tough market. It's a big city, but like the reason why I left San Antonio is because like obviously Duana was running all of San Antonio, and like to compete like somebody that taught me, it was just like one of those things. Like it was hard because he got the first call.
Right.
So for me, it was just like I took my knowledge that he taught me and I moved to Austin because nobody was doing that. Being the promoter, being the booker, being all that at once. Like,
did you see something popping in Austin that made you want to move there with Rainey kind of building and everything?
so luckily for me, you know, that's how like, you know, I met Nice because I went out there and one of my buddies like had booked an expensive table, and he was in San Antonio, and R.I.P. Sharky. It's crazy how this happened, but like, you know, Sharky booked the table, and he told me like, hey, if I book this table, would you open at Rio? Rio at the time was booking like Tiesto, like top of the line. Like that was probably the only club, to be honest, at the time. And Nice was the resident DJ. So that's how I met Nice, and like I opened for him and all that. I was like, hey man, you're a pretty dope dude. Like, I'm about to work at this different venue. Would you want to like come and DJ for me and all that? And I was just like, oh shit, yeah, I'll be down, you know? Let me know what dates you got and all that. And then that's how we became friends and stayed in contact. And like, if it wasn't for Nice, I wouldn't have broken into
Austin.
Yeah. I mean, he basically like saw like my potential and all that, you know, and he had been there for years building relationships and all that. So he knew the right people. So it was just like kind of godsend, like, hey, like, and then more venues started becoming available, and it's just like, hey, like, then slowly I would DJ San Antonio maybe a Thursday, do a daytime party probably in San Antonio, and then drive to Austin and DJ at night in Austin. And, you know, then after a while I was just like going to Austin a lot, driving up and down. I was like, man, I'm gonna just move to Austin.
Yeah.
And then that's how it happened.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, if it wasn't for Nice, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in now. He like introduced me to the right people, and that's the thing about Nice. Like he helped a lot of people. Like
He did, right?
Man,
it's
I mean,
crazy. He was very. It's funny. It's like he set the tone. Like I don't know what it is, but like, you know, I talk to a lot of DJs in a lot of cities, and you know, I try to plan events, and like I've never had a group of DJs from a city like Austin go out of their way to try to make shit happen for us, the R.O.A.D podcast, and just it was kind of like, it was so odd. It was like the kindness, like, you know what I'm saying? The generosity and kindness was like, I was just taken aback because they really wanted to make an event happen with R.O.A.D podcast in Austin for South by Southwest. And Nice was the first one to kind of, you know, like to really just kind of execute it and put it all together for us.
So like, I mean,
and rest in peace to Nice.
Yeah. So like the way like Nice related with y'all and that was because he was from New York.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he brought that New York hustle, and it's the same thing like in San Antonio because everything's separate. Like you were a DJ promoter, and like when you went to Austin, there was no such thing as that. Nice was the only one doing it. So that's why he was able to take the market so fast. Like he was the DJ promoter. He booked tables. Like he did it all. Like, and that's the New York hustle. That's what you did in New York, you know. So
I didn't do that.
I know. I'm about to say I did not do that.
But
Nice was built different than that.
Yeah, so
I wouldn't have done that.
And you know, it's funny how that conversation started because like, you know, me and him will listen to the podcast, and then we're like, hey man, what do you think about throwing a South by Southwest party?
Yeah.
And bringing the R.O.A.D. I was like, man, I would love that. You know, let's figure it out. And obviously, we already had talked, and we started a group chat. We were doing our FaceTime calls and all that. And sure enough, the pandemic happened, and you know, there was no South by for 2 years. And then finally, you know, obviously, like I wish it was in better terms where we would be more involved, you know, because we were already in different positions. Like a lot changed, right? But yeah, man, anytime like a new DJ came up, he will help them. Like, hey, like maybe you need to do this, maybe you need to do that. Like, check your ego. Like, he was the one that'll tell you straight up in your face, you know.
Right.
And you need that, you know. Like a lot of people don't get their egos checked, and then next thing you know, like they hit this high, and when they crash, and then that's it, you know. And
people are just watching them crash.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even when they see like it turning bad, they're just watching it turn bad.
And they want it to happen.
They're
waiting for them to crash.
Almost if they go get their own popcorn and just sit there and just wait till this.
It's funny. Like recently, I went somewhere and there was like some internal beef in some city.
Yeah.
And I noticed one of the dudes, you know, was kind of ousted a little bit, or something happened where they were kind of like moved out of the industry. And I called them and I was just like, yo, like, I don't know what's going on. I kind of knew like a vague idea of what was going on, but I just didn't, like, I know that DJ, he has so much potential, but I think when you're young, you're stubborn, you think you're right, or you think this is the only way, and you can't see outside of yourself. So I was trying to tell him to like, yo, take a moment and look outside of yourself. And because you're gonna die on this rock. Is that the phrase? You're gonna die on this rock? You're gonna die on this hill?
I never heard of that.
You're gonna die on this hill.
Huh?
You're gonna die on this hill.
You're gonna die on this hill, right?
Yeah.
Which means basically is like your stubbornness, right?
There's no way around it.
There's no way.
You're gonna die on that.
You're gonna die on this hill. You're gonna be alone. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not seeing yourself and kind of your stubbornness, and you kind of gotta let this go, take the L or whatever it is, and try to mend whatever relationship you have, apologize and take accountability for whatever it is you're doing, because you're destroying your potential for something that's really meaningless. It's just like, and it was a mistake. It was like an honest mistake that some people get, that we all do. And it's like, you need to just move on.
And, you know, and that's a good thing, like with these young guys now, like they're listening. Like back in the day, like I'm gonna just do whatever I want, you know? And like, I think that's another thing with social media. Like everything's very more vulnerable. Like everybody can see like the kind of DJ you are.
You think the younger DJs are listening more?
I think so, you know, because it's like, back in the day, like I would hear stories how like there was always egos, like, oh, why? Well, I'm gonna just undercut this guy because I want that venue, just because I want it. Like, now it's like I have a group chat with like 30 DJs in Austin. You know, like when the whole like nice funding came in, like,
wow, you guys are really unified, huh?
Yeah. So like,
I'm really impressed how all you. I mean, I could be wrong, but the optics are that you guys all get along.
Oh yeah, like if I'm off, literally the group chat will be like, hey, I'm off, guys. Like, where y'all at? Everybody will post a thing and they'll go support and say hi. And
that's amazing.
You know, and you know they'll go do that, and it's dope to do that because it's like, you know, everybody has their niche. Like, you know, obviously if you're like the Dirty Six DJ, you know, it's more hip hop, but it's like, you know, you have your niche and like you run that venue and like you pack it out, and there's a certain way style you play. You play on West 6, that's more like the clubby stuff, like where everybody dresses up and all that. And then they have that niche, you know, and then you go to like the east side where it's been gentrified. It's all like cocktail bars. And then you're hearing the K-Tronadas and all that. They have that niche. Then you go to Rainey and it's more like the open format, like the Blink 182s and, you know, so like everybody has a niche, but like we talk about it, like we'll talk about how our night goes, you know. And that was one thing with like, I mean, to be honest, like Nice kind of started that, like, you know, like he
set the tone.
He kind of set the tone, like, hey, like let's all get together, you know, like let's go do this. And like now, you know, like his best friend Sleepy, like now we're gonna do like a dinner once a month, you know, to kind of like remember Nice and all that. And like we got some plans to kind of like, you know, remember his legacy, because it's one thing that like, you know, like you felt like the air got sucked out like in the nightlife scene when that happened to Nice, you know. And it's like now it's like you feel the difference, like it's like a missing presence in a way, like because he was the guy you hit up like most of the time that, hey, I'm looking for a DJ, and he kind of knew who to get you and how to get you in.
And he kind of pay it forward with everybody, right?
Yeah. So Sort of, you know, he still got his little New York 5% cut. Well, I'm a bookie,
Right.
but let me get my cut. You know, that's the New York hustle,
owe me
though. You
lunch,
know what I
That
mean?
definitely sounds like a New York hustle.
Yeah. So, but I mean, he was a hustler, man. Like he knew how to like talk, like, and I mean, thanks for him for like, you know, teaching me that, like how to talk to the owners and all that. you know?
Yeah.
Damn.
And like, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in, like helping my boss doing the entertainment, like, you know, making sure like equipment, DJ stuff and all that, you know, like, because over there in Austin, like a lot of venues don't have equipment, you know, we're like the only venues, like nicest venues too, we're the only ones that had equipment, you know, like, and like, because we made sure to take care of the DJ and all that, you know, and like, that's where the whole DJ culture started coming like together and all that.
Right,
like,
right.
There was no like, if you had an ego, most of the time, yeah, you got kind of pushed out, but then you learned and like, you're like, hey guys, like, you know, like if we're united and we do it together, like,
Yeah.
you can accomplish a lot, you know?
See, but I like that. I like that there's room for error. So if like someone does get out of line, they're not ousted forever.
No, yeah.
And especially if they're talented DJs, there's room to come back, but you also have to come back the right way. And you have to come back knowing like, yo, I fucked up. And yo, like I learned and I'm going to start like treating this like a community and not like the me show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting. Like, did you and a couple DJs feel like you guys had to step up when Nice passed to keep like, you know, that energy going?
So for me, my thing was he was my competitor. So anything Nice did,
Yeah.
I was just like, that was like the bar. So me and him were like, if I did something, he was just like, damn, I need to match that bar. So
Right.
me and him like, and like, yeah, like now these younger DJs is like, you know, they're trying the spots he usually plays at, and it's some big fee to fill in, you know, and like these venues have been asking me like, hey, like, you know, like, can you get out of your contract? How much is your contract? Like, we want to like make sure like, I'm like, just like, I'm like loyal to like the company I'm with Trinity, like obviously, you know, Osh and all them.
Yeah.
And,
Shout to Osh.
and, you know, I'm loyal to those guys and like, because they take care of me, you know, I mean, like, I'm not trying to be a 50-year-old DJ. They're teaching me like the ways of the business and all that, you know. Hopefully maybe I can become like more than just like a DJ, you know. And, you know, that was the same thing Nice was doing. And me and him were like learning together at the same time with all that, you know. And, but yeah, like, I mean, it's some hard shoes to fill in because like he brought the people in and all that. And like now they're like trying these other guys and it's just like, you miss the presence. Just like, man, like Nice did this, Nice did that. And like,
Right.
you know, but yeah, like I kind of felt like I got to step up more too because it was just like I don't want to say who's my competition, but it's more like, man, like who's gonna check me or who's gonna teach me, who's gonna learn with me in a way, you know, and but overall, yeah, like it just I really miss Nice already, like everybody does, you know, you can tell, like it's just like Austin's just different. Completely different.
He recently passed. When did he pass? It was very
July
recent.
sometime.
Like a month ago now.
A month ago.
Yeah, it's about a month over.
And
a
it
month
was COVID related.
So they can't find out what it was. He just never woke up. He went to sleep and never woke up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was one of those things, which is weird because it's like, I mean, he had like heart surgeries and all that before because he had a heart murmur and all that, but like.
Was he sick before? Or?
I mean, he was just sick with a cold. Like, I mean, he took off for the weekend and then I was texting him that night and then like a couple hours later, that's when I found out. You know, Quiz was actually the one that called me and he was just like, yo, did you hear about Nice? And I'm like, nah, man, what's going on? And
How did Quiz?
I know. How did he know first?
Well,
before?
because I think Sleepy, which is like Nice's best friend, they're all from New York.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're all from New York. So
Yeah, I found out because I saw Quiz posted.
yeah, and the only reason I knew something happened in Nice is because the people that called me were the people that were super close to Nice. And I was just like, man, something happened in Nice. I already know it. And once I called Quiz back, I was just like, fuck, what happened? He just never woke up. And I'm like, man, that's like, and the weird thing is, it's like, you know, that's one thing that I want to like talk to DJs like, and I was talking to him like, man, we need to be like, get insurance, life insurance, all that. Like, you know, luckily for me, like, that was one of the things I told the company, like, if I'm gonna be on contract, I want to be on insurance. I want to have healthcare. I want to have all these things.
Right.
And, you know, they were like, okay, let's do it. You know, we'll take care of you and have that. And it's good that I can go to the doctor if something happens to me and all that, you know. And I know like he had insurance, but it wasn't like, you know, you get whatever you can afford, right, to get like some of the
Perks.
some of the perks. But like, you know, we were actually eating for my birthday, and was like, man, and he was telling me about his health, and I'm like, yo, man, you ever thought about getting life insurance? He's like, man, I've been sitting here thinking about it. And it kind of like, we had like an hour conversation about just like health and life and all that. And because we do it every time we go eat barbecue on my birthday and his birthday, and we do that, and we
You
talk.
eat the shittiest food while you talk about health.
The most gracious.
But yeah, I mean,
Slabs of ribs and shit. Yeah, you gotta take better care of myself.
you can't beat Texas barbecue. You can't beat Texas barbecue.
Especially Austin. Austin barbecue is
He's like
great.
cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes. Let's talk about health.
Pass
Sweet tea.
that sweet lemonade.
Yo, so yeah,
Sweet tea.
That Kool-Aid.
yeah. So like, he was actually like working on going vegan too, because he's like, you know,
Yeah.
he got his like colon check and all that. And
You're kind of vegan.
yeah, so I can't eat dairy. So the problem is like a lot of places use butter and all that. So
Yeah.
most of the time, like I have to go to a vegan spot to eat. You know, and like
Because I remember last time I visited, you took me to a vegan Mexican spot.
Yeah.
It was good.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, that fucking place is delicious.
oh man, like, there's some more spots that have opened in Austin, and I'm just like
What was it called again? It was
Mr. Natural.
Mr.
Mr.
Natural.
Natural.
Yeah. But yeah, like nowadays, like vegan. I mean, dude, I went to New York. The vegan food is some of the best vegan food I've ever had in my life. It's like the real thing.
I
Like,
feel like LA is better.
No, when I ate vegan for the first time with Cricket, oh my God, bro, that shit was
It was
delicious.
it was in LA. It was Cafe Gratitude.
Oh my
it's like
I've heard of that spot, actually. I was gonna go check it out.
Bro, it's
Yeah.
the best. I remember we ate like at noon, say it was on a Friday. I didn't get hungry till Saturday fucking afternoon. Just how good that fucking food was.
But the good
So
thing,
nutritious.
the good thing about vegan food is like digest is better. You know,
Yeah.
like it's not like as bad as like, you know, like eating-
the ribs you guys were
Yeah.
eating.
Catching up.
Yeah, I mean, you fall asleep. Like, I mean, I feel bad sometimes too. Like sometimes when like I'm taking D to like barbecue, and then he's DJing just.
The itis is kicking in.
Yeah, man. Like,
I
so
got
good,
a
though.
strict rule, like not to eat like after 6 or 5 p.m.
Yeah.
If I'm DJing that night, I
Yeah,
can't do
I
it.
can't really eat before. Yeah, I can't eat too late before I DJ, or
Yeah,
else
yeah.
I'll be all fucked up.
yeah.
Sluggish.
It's just that's just a rule. I don't know how you like. I don't know how motherfuckers. I see motherfuckers have dinner at like 9 p.m.
And then go eat
And
the-
then they go
And then
DJ. I'm like,
That's-
how you do
yo,
that?
I
shit?
can't do that.
Nah.
man.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really nuts. I don't think that's.
Yeah, I mean, if
crazy.
I DJ, I know I probably won't eat super heavy, but like you can't
Lima
help it
said
in
not to do
Texas,
that.
bro. Like we was having ribs, brisket, smoked chicken, sausage,
Jesus.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
We know.
I know, we know, man.
and then
know.
like
Is there eating sausage,
spinach, like what with greens, macaroni and cheese, baked beans.
So much
Or
for life.
coleslaw.
The whole menu.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's the whole menu for sure.
Because you know we was like buying the meat by the pound, right?
Yeah,
He's like, what you want?
Hey, yo.
The whole menu.
Meat by the pound. Pause. Pause.
Give you like the little iron tray just by the pound.
Not even a plate.
Okay.
You're looking on some paper, and you're just like, all right.
We got it. We got it.
Hey, if
We
you
got
come
it.
to Texas and you come to Austin, you want some barbecue, let me know. We know all the spots.
Wait, so you would have these conversations with Nice, and he was trying to turn his turn everything around.
Yeah, because I mean,
And when he started wanting to turn this around,
well, you know, when he did some checkup, and he told me that I think it's something with his colon, and then they told him that he needed like to clean it up. So hence why I recommended like vegan and all that. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't even drink. He was sober already, you know. But
he didn't drink.
He didn't drink at all. The problem was just like he couldn't work out because of his heart murmur. And like, you know, when you have a heart murmur surgery, like you kind of have to. It's like training like your Achilles, like, you know, to like work again. And I was telling him like, yo, man, you got to go run, you got to go walk and all that. And I mean, he struggled walking like for long distances because of his heart murmur. You know, like he never trained his muscle to be like. So
Wow.
you know, and you know, obviously, like when you eat bad and like you know,
Right.
I mean, he loved to eat, you know, and so after a while, like that catches up to you, you know.
Well, you don't have a vice. He's not drinking, right? He's not working out or active like that. So he needs something.
Yeah.
To feed the beast.
Yeah,
To-
to kind of just
To make up for what he's not doing.
right.
I mean, they called him a marathon man. The dude was doing 8-hour sets. He didn't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, whoa, like, I was like, you good with doing 8-hour sets? It's like,
So he was trying to change everything. And what was that? Maybe earlier this year?
yeah, that was like literally like 4 months ago. He was trying to change all that, and he did. And like, you know, he would just eat bad once in a while. And then obviously my birthday was like, yo, like it was a tradition to go eat barbecue. So that's why we did it. But I mean, you know, he kept it with just turkey and like potato salad and all that, nothing crazy. But, you know, that's when we were talking about his health. Like, hey man, like, you know, you've been getting sick a lot. Like maybe it's time, like you get life insurance and all that. And then 2 weeks later, that happened. And I was just like, wow.
It's crazy.
Oh man.
You know, like to have that deep conversation with him. And it was just like that to happen. And it was just like, you know, it made me think, you know, like obviously like, you know, I beat cancer in 2013. Like I'm good since, you know, but it makes me think like
What kind of cancer did you have?
So I had a malignant tumor in my intestine because of my ulcers. So it was like an ulcer cancer. Luckily,
Why were you having ulcers? Just stress?
yeah, I mean, I didn't know how to handle stress. Obviously, like breakup and all that was one of the big things. I was drinking a lot from college and all that. And, you know, it finally caught up to me. Luckily, I caught it.
You stopped drinking.
Yeah, I'm like completely sober
Like
now.
was it last year or 2020?
I would say last year.
I think we had conversations about this, right?
Yeah, so it was last year in July, just because it was like, you know, back in the day, like, I mean, I could drink and function, wake up the next day. Like after the pandemic, I developed anxiety, you know, and never had that. And maybe it's because I was gone from like the high intensity nightclub life, you know, and like coming back.
Wait, so you got anxiety just being home?
No, so like drinking, like after like a set and I'm drinking, like I couldn't sleep. And then I'll wake up with like bad anxiety, like sweating and all that.
Oh yeah, because I'm thinking Austin shut down during the pandemic, and you guys didn't.
So,
I'm about to say that.
right?
Yeah, he was working.
no, so we did shut down.
Right.
Then we opened, and it only lasted a week because it was like it like surged
How
so
long
bad.
did you shut down? Like, because I remember we canceled our South by Southwest
yeah.
event.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Nice told us to wait till the fucking last minute to cancel that event.
And we was ready to go.
And we were gonna go.
I know.
Even when that pandemic hit, we was still gonna go.
Honestly,
We canceled our flights.
I'm
on
gonna
a
be real
Monday.
with you. Nice and CRG was kind of like when I hit them up and I'm like, yo, we got to cancel this event. They were just kind of like, all right, like,
Pussies.
Bro,
yeah, a little bit.
so get this. So get
They were
this.
like, all right, on that pussy. But they
No,
were like,
yeah.
being nice. They were like, we understand your decision, but they were like, yeah, you a pussy.
So get this.
You know what's funny? Our flight was gonna leave on Tuesday, and we canceled it on Monday.
Yeah.
When we had to call our fucking flights and just call them off. But we waited to the last minute. We thought about buying gloves.
I bought a box of
sanitizer.
gloves.
Wear a double mask. We're like, fuck it. We're still gonna go do this shit.
Dude, so get this. That week I got COVID on Thursday.
Oh, you did?
I was
We
one of the
dodged the
first
bullets.
ones.
See?
I was one of the first ones, and I was thinking, like, man, if imagine South by would have lasted, and I would have just, it just would have been a spreader. You know, y'all would have went back home, we would have gotten sick.
Right.
I wouldn't hear the end of it from Crooked, like, man, we got sick over there in Austin, Texas. You know, I ain't never going back.
Fucking CRG.
Fuck CRG.
Did it hit you hard?
Dude, it honestly, it felt like a normal cold, man. And I was one of the first ones to get it. But then, like, when I was seeing how much people, like, I mean, I lost a couple of friends that, you know, they passed away from, like, COVID. And
Right.
But I mean, they had like health issues, like, you know, they didn't eat right, they didn't work out.
People
like,
don't get that it's like it's different for every fucking person. It's
Yeah.
literally
Exactly,
the
man.
vaccine.
Yeah.
Everyone reacts different to the vaccine. You know, like I just was in San Jose visiting my sister, my niece, and they're not vaccinated, and it's like I get it. Like and you know, everyone kind of assumes, oh, you're not vaccinated. You're like, you know, you're pro-Trump, and you're like, you know, you're anti. You know, you think this is all whatever, and it's like, nah. They just like everyone's health issues are just different. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got the vaccine, I got sicker on the vaccine than I did with COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
those fuck me.
I mean, I had a fever of 107, 106, and I was like, dude, should I go to the doctor? And then I fell asleep. Woke up the next day, I was fine. I was just like, okay, cool. Like, that's it.
Yeah, that lasted, that 104, 105 fever hit me too, but like for like a cool hour.
Yeah.
And then it just goes away. I don't know.
You know what I realized with COVID, and I didn't realize it before, but sleep is so important. Like the biggest cure for
Anything.
well, the biggest cure for COVID, right, is sleep. So much so that when you have COVID and like you go to the hospital, the only thing they could do is put you to sleep.
Yeah.
They put you in a coma. You know,
So allow
because
your body just to
just focus on fighting that off.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my sister about sleep. She's like studying sleep and like watching clouds. It's like really kind of ill shit, but sleep is so fucking important. And it's funny because I was having a conversation with her about dreams, and I'm like, I don't really dream that often.
Because you sleep.
And
heavy.
she's like, oh, that's not good. And she's like, dreams are actually when your brain is kind of like,
still awake.
it's like detoxing. Mm-hmm. So if like I think she was mentioning like Joe Rogan and some people, they smoke a lot of weed. So when you smoke weed or when you drink liquor, you don't have dreams. Mm-hmm. But when if you stop drinking and you stop smoking weed, you start dreaming, but it's like all these dreams from like when you should have been dreaming the past few months. It just like compounds all on you.
Oh, damn.
And this is like nothing but dreams because your brain needs to kind of make up for the lost time that it wasn't able to like just kind of detox and get rid of all this shit.
Yeah.
But if you're not dreaming, it's like kind of a bad thing. Because I recently had a dream. I was sleeping at her place, and I had the craziest. It just seemed like all these
That's
things
scary.
were happening.
You never have dreams?
Maybe I don't remember it, but I don't have these. Yeah. Like but the thing is that I had this crazy dream while I was staying there. It was like insane. Like there were so many ex-girlfriends in the dreams. It was like
It was Flavor of Love. But
yeah, there was like all these like past traumas and all these things compiled, and I just kept running into everybody. And I realized, like, yo, and I was like, this was an intense dream. It seemed like all this shit was happening at once. She's like, do you dream a lot? I'm like, I don't really think so. And then she was like, that's not good.
I mean, that's weird you say that because I feel like I don't sleep enough, but I always dream though. Even like the little sleep I get, I'm always dreaming.
Your brain is detox. That's good then.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's good.
But still, I usually get like the most sleep I'll get is 5 hours. And that's not good. That's fair. It should be like 8.
I don't know.
Like 8 hours.
I don't know
a day.
because like ever since like I gotten sober, I can sleep 5-6 hours and I'm great. I'm ready to go.
But here's the thing, I do the 5, but I wake up like in 3 hours. In the 5 I wake up, go back to sleep for another 2 hours.
But I think you have sleep apnea.
I think so. Yeah, I got to get that.
It's like I feel like a lot of us got to get analyzed for
I
our
do
sleep
have
and
to
the
do
breathing.
that. That's what I have to do. Next.
Yeah, I mean,
Like I think I have a deviated septum because I got fucking knocked the fuck out like in 2000. I don't know when. Like in the 2000s when I was young. But I know one of these nostrils is like caved in, and it's like I can hardly breathe in one nostril.
shit.
we're gonna
I'm
call
like-
it that.
I'm breathing in one.
We're gonna call it that.
No, like I'm breathing out of one nostril, like 1.5 nostril or some shit. But like, yo, sleeping is like so important. Like when motherfuckers sleep more and longer, like their skin gets better, their body gets to like work
Exactly,
on all
yeah.
this.
Why you think my
shit.
shit's so smooth, baby?
I mean, dude, I honestly
You're
like.
a little bumpy and shit and oily. You fucking oily ass.
Oh, that's my new unseen sunscreen that I'm putting on.
I mean, yeah. So like
Fucking
anytime,
oily
like,
ass nose and shit. Nah, I'm just kidding.
It is. It's my new sunscreen.
it's funny that you say that, but Nice has sleep apnea. He had to sleep with a machine.
Oh,
Yeah,
crazy.
and so like, you know, anywhere he traveled, he had to have that machine.
Damn.
And he would like even tell me like, if you see me fall asleep, make sure I have that machine on.
You don't know if he got it.
No, he did have it on. That was the weird thing. I was just like, did he have it on? He's just, and because that was the first thing I thought, like,
right.
because he was sick. You know, maybe he took some NyQuil and like working on music on a computer at home, and maybe he just forgot. And I thought it's like, did he have his machine on? It's like they did. They said he did, but it was just like it's weird. Like they can't figure out what happened. You know, he did. So then I heard like week after that he did get tested for COVID and it was not COVID. So it was just like something must have happened where like maybe it was one of his heart things that we don't know about. You know, like
Yeah.
But like I mean, so it was just a weird like. It was just random, you know, like because like I said, we were texting Saturday. You know,
Was his mood off a little bit? Like,
no, I mean, he was normal. Like we were talking normal. Like we were like, he sent me some music and all that, and then you know, like, but yeah, I mean, we will talk about that. Like, I mean, he slept hours though, like you know, and I will say, like me not drinking now, like, man, I sleep so good. Like I just 5-6 hours, I'm good. Like when you drink, like man, like. You go 8 hours and then you're like, then you get up and it's just already you're already ruined your day.
But you know, I will say, like when I see you in pictures now, your skin looks better.
Oh,
even your hairline looks better.
Oh, dude,
you know what I'm saying? Like everything looks.
That's foul,
bro. No, so get this. Like I feel like I've gotten 5 years back in my life.
Real from stopping to
Yeah,
drink.
straight up.
You look better.
Like
I'm not saying you look like shit before, you know, but
you glowing.
but you look like, you know.
Yeah, like I mean, I've lost.
You looked older.
For sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I've lost like 30 pounds, you know, like, yeah, like my hair's grown, but even my barbers told me like, you know, like, yeah, your hair, I mean, yeah, I've done some like biotin in order for me like to get my hair growing and all that. But, you know, like, but yeah, like I literally, like I look at pictures now compared to like, I'm like, yo, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. Like even my mind feels that way, you know, the way I complete work now and all that. And I've gone sober before, like the longest I've gone sober was like 2 years, like. And so the reason why I did it again was because like I had to put mental health first, and like a lot of people don't do that, you know.
So you were saying you were getting during the pandemic, you were DJing, right?
Yeah, I was just so during the pandemic.
So it closed, it reopened. You were DJing.
I mean, I'll be honest, like I was DJing while everything was closed. We were doing some crazy house parties and all that, you know. Right. And yeah, I was, you know, that.
I mean, obviously you got
I
it the
forgot
first.
to
You got
COVID,
it.
huh?
You got it the first week, motherfucker.
No, but
how many times have you gotten COVID?
Twice.
Twice?
Yeah.
I
got one.
I
Twice.
think more than that.
No, twice. Believe it or not, twice. But I mean,
that shit is like in your pocket. It's like in your clothes.
Take a shot of COVID.
And shoot, now with monkeypox, man, I'm like hand sanitizing almost every second now. Like,
really?
You know, yeah.
You're scared of monkeypox, but not COVID.
Not COVID.
I felt COVID was like a cold, but until like, you know.
Yeah.
Start knocking motherfuckers out. And
let's not get into this conversation.
Yeah, like,
Christ.
yeah, but.
He's from Texas, remember that.
Yeah, I mean, in Texas, we just handled it like it was just whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. Like,
so where did anxiety come from?
Dude, that's the thing. Like, I don't.
Were you having anxiety attacks?
Oh, dude, yeah, man. It was like
the worst, huh?
No, dude, I remember my first one, and it was just like,
feel like you're gonna die,
dude. The world was closing, like everything was like foggy. I'm like taking deep breaths, and I'm like, this is in the middle of my set, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like, you know, and
your fingers start feeling numb.
Yeah, and then I started like, you know, like I was just like, man, like, all right, let me take a shot to feel better, because that's what you think. You're just anxious from your set or something, you know, because like. Everything was weird. Like when you started DJing, like everybody was sitting down, so you really weren't throwing a party. You know, it was like very strict.
Yeah.
But then, like as times getting busier, like you know, I was drinking more and all that, and I'll wake up hungover, and then I'll go DJ, and I'll be like, you know, anxious, and I'm like, why am I anxious? I've never felt this feeling, and like, you know, I would ask people like, yo, like I've seen people that talk about anxiety. I'm like, I don't know what that feels like.
So you don't know where it came from.
And that's the thing. Like I've been thinking about looking for a therapist to like, you know, because like I used to look for I used to have a therapist before the pandemic. I haven't like, but I thought about going back because it's like
you want to connect the dots.
I want to know where does that come from?
Do you bottle up feelings and shit?
Yes and no. You know, like
because my biggest problem was not expressing feelings.
Yeah, so like
when I went through it, it was just because I was holding shit back. So obviously that ends up going somewhere at a point,
right?
But it comes like a fucking ton of bricks.
I mean, my closest people know how I feel. Like if I'm like having trouble, like you know, back in the day, if anything, I held more back in the day, and I didn't get anxiety. Like now, it was just like I would just get it, and I'm like, man,
yeah.
And then when I stopped drinking. I still get it, but not as bad. But it went away, you know? Like I went like, first I stopped drinking, then I cut off caffeine. Then I recently brought caffeine and it was giving me anxiety a little bit, but nothing like crazy. But obviously it's because you get jittery, right?
Yeah, you get jittery.
Yeah, but like, you know, like it's helped me a lot be more focused and like I don't miss that feeling. And like sometimes I get it because it's like, you're a different person when you're sober and like in like massive crowd places, you're like, man, how do I handle myself? Because you've always been like, oh, let's go take a shot. Like, let's go do this and let's go do that. Right. And, you know, you don't realize like how like that's the easy route to do things.
Well, you get dependent on it, right? Mm-hmm. It becomes,
it's your numb.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, me and you're kind of the same age group and shit. And I tell Cricket all the time when I went through anxiety, he's like, well, where did it come from? Or why did you get it? You're so young. But it's just bottling up emotions, things that you don't express. Like mine came right after my grandmother passed away. I didn't that was like my second mother. I didn't shed a tear. But later on, that shit caught up to me. So maybe you bottling it up for so many years, if somebody fuck with you, you're like, oh, whatever, and you didn't let it really phase you.
Yeah, maybe what you're saying is maybe there was a trigger that happened,
And it just fucked you up right away.
Yeah, I mean,
But there's a name for it because I had that problem when I was drinking heavy. Like the next day I would have anxiety. Like,
was it the Red Bull?
I don't think it was the Red Bull.
I think it is.
The
The Red Bull,
caffeine
bro.
can trigger
Red
the
Bull's
fuck.
really bad.
yeah, it's
Because I used to have like the next day my anxiety. I felt like something bad was gonna happen. Like like something gonna fall on me or whatever.
But I
Like,
feel-
even if I
yeah.
DJ that night, I would still have that anxiety, and I'd be scared. Like, this is not good. So I don't know what's gonna happen.
I
Something
feel
bad could happen.
like liquor might be a part of that, but I also think Red Bull just it speeds your heart rate
Yeah.
up, and it's just like, and it makes you feel like something's gonna happen, or like, you know,
And it's all in your mind at the end of the day, but it's just hard to control that shit. Like, it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And you're like trying to, I mean, I've had anxiety attacks in front of D Miles, and he's seen me get the worst. You just, like, you feel like you're going to collapse and just die there.
and I mean, there's a study showing that like vodka Red Bull is just as bad as doing cocaine. And I'm just like, wow. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I
Really?
mean? Like, yeah, like if you can look it up, there's a big study that show that doing vodka or like alcohol with Red Bull is just as bad as like racing your heart as cocaine.
it's not as bad. I don't think.
but maybe.
But you know, like, bro, I mean, there's been times too, like, luckily for this Apple Watch, like I kind of see my heart rate sometimes, you know.
That
like,
calms me the fuck down.
yeah, I can go see, and I'm like, you know, like I compare some of like the differences when I was drinking, like, and I look at that, I'm like, if I'm DJing and I'm drinking and my heart rate's at 140, that's a problem, you know. And like I never caught that on because you're in the middle of your set, you're focused on the music, you're focused on that. Then out of nowhere, boom, your anxiety just hit. It's like, where did this come from? Luckily, I'm able to look, you know, and I was just
Right.
like, okay, so something is stemming my heart rate to go this high up and all that.
But also, you gotta understand that's also not the most accurate if you're
Yeah.
DJing because of the bass and everything. The BPM of the song can be hitting at that point.
Yeah.
And you're moving around. You're doing all the shit.
I mean-
your hand on on. You're laughing, asshole. But your hand on the CDJ.
my heart rate's exactly the same as the
BPM,
BPM on this
Fucking
song.
Pepper's got my fucking heart rate at 130.
Believe it or not,
So you're jumping around. You're moving around. So it goes up a little bit.
believe it or not, I actually calculate like how many calories I burn while I DJ because I move a lot, and I usually burn about 350 to 400 in like 4 hours.
It's crazy. It's really crazy how many calories we burn.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously we're moving a lot and shit, but I really think it's concentration.
Yeah.
It's really concentrating and like handling the pressure and just dealing with that. I think it's like it's probably one of the most draining things.
Oh,
besides the hours.
I've sweated more DJing than I've done during a workout sometimes.
Yeah.
And
You
I'm like,
nasty
this is
boy. I thought
crazy.
you were going somewhere else.
No.
I was like, you're a nasty boy.
So wait, you stopped drinking. I remember we had this a long conversation about this, right? And then you were saying you microdose now with shrooms.
Oh my God. Probably the best thing that I like.
I want to get into that.
So like,
You and like Lima, like you guys stand by this.
Yeah, Lima's.
I mean,
Because he's a former drinker and on top of other drugs.
Yeah.
But he lives for this.
He's
for
like
shrooms.
the Joe Rogan of DJ.
man, so like,
He actually gave me a Tupperware thing of like the shrooms that he does, and I've yet to like.
haven't tried it?
yet.
look,
I'm ready to go.
What you waiting for?
I'm not scared. I'm just kind of like I'm just trying to figure out when's the right time.
Yeah, that's
to
my
try.
problem.
You know
I'm
what I
like-
did recently? I took an edible before I DJ'd.
How was that? I don't
It was,
think
you know, it was weird, man. It just felt like
is it a high energy gig or is it kind of like a lounge?
it was like a mid.
What is that?
It was
Like
like,
a
it was a
lounge?
lounge. It was like a loungy.
Okay, a lounge.
loungy vibe. But it was just like it felt weird. It didn't feel right. Like there was part of me was just like something. Once again, something bad was gonna happen. Then I was just like, all right, cool. It was like up and down feeling.
But did you enjoy it or it wasn't enjoyable?
I expected more out of it. Let's put it
Okay.
like that. It wasn't bad. It didn't fuck me up, whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought.
See, I don't think
would
an
get-
edible it would be good to DJ on.
Yeah.
I think that's like the worst. That would trip me.
Yeah, I
the
would
fuck
never
out.
do it again.
Yeah.
But I felt like I needed something different since I'm not drinking when I'm DJing. All right, I'm thinking, all right, let me try edible, see what happens. But like I said,
You've
I
been
would never
sober
do it.
you've been sober DJing for how long now?
3 months, just
3
about,
months.
going on 4. Yeah,
Awesome.
Are you used to it?
I'm getting comfortable with it. Yeah,
You're comfortable with it now.
Yeah.
But it's you
At
still
first I
kind of
wasn't, though.
want something.
it depends. Like if the crowd is into it, if the fucking everyone's hype, I wanna do something, and I'm gonna
do it, Cricket.
Can someone give me some
I wanna do
cocaine?
something.
Red Bull and vodka.
I'll
wanna
take anything. Give me
wanna
cocaine, whatever
just
you
give
want.
Me something. but
Whatever you're on, I want to be on.
Just give
Isn't that
it to
crazy
me.
though? It's like when
Throw
you
Molly in my mouth.
when you got it popping, you just kind of want to feel some kind of stimulation, right?
Yeah, man.
I want
Like,
to
you
feel what they feel. What they feeling over there?
Like you just like you rocking with the crowd, you got it jumping, and you just like I want to feel something. Like
I want to be there.
It's for me. The one thing I hate is like if I had a great night and I'm like, oh, I want to celebrate or I want to share with some. I want to talk about.
And you want to keep it going.
Yeah, I want them like, yo, like tonight was dope. Like, and,
Yeah.
and then it's like, you guys gotta learn to be like, all right, let's go back to the hotel and go to sleep.
Yeah.
That's tough, dude. That was like my hardest thing. Like when I was drinking, during the pandemic, like we'd throw house parties from like 10 p.m. to like
Right.
6 in the morning. So then when things started opening up and 2 o'clock closed, you were like, damn, I want to still keep going because
Yeah.
I've been locked up in this house for so long and all that, and then you start realizing
You weren't locked up for anything, motherfucker. But go ahead.
You still going, man.
But I mean, honestly, like, so if you ever want to try it, do it somewhere where, for example, like, how about you go do it when you go to everyday people? Do like a microdose.
Yeah, I'm not. The thing is, I'm not afraid to take it.
I'm afraid.
You know,
Yeah.
I just forget to be like, because you gotta. It's in a powder form, so I gotta put it in water, or I gotta do something with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
It tastes nasty.
I just gotta plan it out.
Tastes
you know?
nasty. But
What do you do? I mean, can you like explain it to me? You take
So-
you mix it with water, right?
Well, so this is what happens: is like, tell me if I'm wrong. Okay,
there's different ways.
What you want to do is you want to get a supplier that's either finding them or growing them, or I don't know what the fuck. So you get them straight from them. From what I heard, it could be 800 to 1,000 per ounce or pound. A pound?
Pound.
A pound.
Yeah.
So like 800 to 1,000 per pound, which is a lot because the fucking mushrooms are like light,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then what they do is a lot of them like blend it. So it goes into a powder form. And then once it's in a powder form, you can put it in water.
Or in
You can-
capsules.
in capsules. And then I think capsules are probably best, right? Or what do you think?
I eat the real thing.
You just eat the
Yeah,
mushroom.
I eat the mushroom, the real thing.
You
know how much
you
it
cut the
take?
middleman now. You just take that shit.
I just take that shit, and
So you're not cutting it up like
no,
that?
so I'll cut it up. Sometimes I'll put it in a capsule and then eat it. But like,
Yeah.
you
But don't you think that's more controlled? Like I can take 3 capsules, or does it matter because the mushrooms are all different?
it just depends because some like mushroom leaves are gonna be like much more potent than others,
Right.
right? But like, you kind of know like just ripping that little piece and you take it, you kind of know like the first like 30, 40 minutes, like an hour, like how you're feeling, like, you start your energy starts coming up.
So what do you start with? Like something the size of your thumb?
Man, honestly, probably half of that, like,
Oh, wow.
because you just don't know how like your body, like obviously a lot of psychology becomes ahead, like you don't know what your mood is and all that, like depends if you ate, you're probably going to take more because it's going to take a while to digest.
Right,
like
right.
all these like things come in mind, but like, you always want to do it like 30, 40 minutes before you're about to do something. That way you kind of like get used to the feeling. And then from there, you just appreciate what you have. Like for example, when I DJ on that, man, I have some of the best sets. And the only reason why is because like you kind of see like it's like much brighter in a way, and the room is much brighter.
Yeah, like edibles, you feel heavy, right?
Right.
When you take edibles, you feel heavy. Your movement feels sluggish. Everything's slowed down,
it's
right?
like off. Something is off.
But shrooms is very clear, and everything,
Yeah.
and it's like you don't feel any like slow motion or anything. But if anything, like everything intensifies a little bit more, right? A little bit.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, there's studies right now. Like, there's places that I think California just made it legal, to be honest. And
Did they?
yeah, I think so. And it's been helping people that are like schizophrenia. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, I'm telling you. Oh, really?
yeah, like
I heard like shrooms is like booming in LA right now. It's like the fucking. It's.
I mean,
taking
now they're
over.
making gummies now. Like you can buy
Yeah.
gummies instead.
Oh yeah,
of
what's
chocolate.
his name?
Bootleg Kev.
Bootleg Kev. He has his own tops.
Yeah.
And he was telling us about. How
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, there's no hangover. Like, the only way you'll get a hangover is like you're trying to fucking have a trippy ass night, and like,
Right.
how much do you take a day?
man,
And the hangover is more about dehydration. than
right,
anything,
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't take it like religiously, like unless like I want to, just because like for the cause. But like, I probably try to have like less than a gram and like for the full night, because like you're not trying to be fucked up while you're DJing, you know, and just take it piece by piece, like, you know, and if you don't feel it, just wait for it, because I've done the mistake where like, man, I'm not feeling anything. And then it just like, I mean, like for my bungalow closing party, I kept taking it. I was like, I'm not feeling it. And it hit me so hard that I couldn't even feel my feet. And I was just like,
I'm floating.
I literally felt like I was floating. I was just like, oh, fuck. Like, and the funny part was like me DJing. Like, and the thing is like, you see the music and like you appreciate the music. You see the crowd and all that.
Wait, rewind. You see the music?
Like,
what are you talking about?
Like, it's like
The notes just floating around.
no, I want to say notes, but it's like you see what you're doing. It's like lighting up the room, and it's like you're in a happy place of what you're doing because you're passionate at what you do, you know?
Right.
And then you see the crowd react. You just like, that intensifies your energy. You're just like, man, like, all right. It's like,
Do you feel like when you're on shrooms, you're more grateful for the experience of DJing? Feels more like a service, like a gratitude of like, I'm giving you, and
100%.
and you're seeing them react, so they're giving you back.
100%.
That's exactly what Lima describes when he's talking about
100%.
DJing.
But Lima takes it on an empty stomach.
Well, I think that's the most. That's when you can kind of control it.
Yeah,
a
that's
little
when
bit
you.
more.
Yeah, that's.
He says he wakes up around 6 o'clock, takes it. He wakes up around 8, and he's ready to go.
Yeah, so like, and the thing is too, it wakes you up. It doesn't make you like drowsy and all that. It actually like wakes you up and it uplifts you, you know. And the thing is, be ready just to have a smile. You're just gonna be smiling, like literally, like,
Yeah.
People would hit me up like, "Damn, you're smiling. You're in a great mood today." I was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm kind of shrooming."
Is there any bad after effects of it, or no?
If you do too much, yeah, you'll wake up like very exhausted, tired, because it's like, you got to think about it. Like, it's not like a drug, but like obviously it uses your dopamine and all that to kind of like process your brain.
You
and
take more and just
yeah, like, you know, if you end up overdoing it, then yeah, you're gonna wake up like super tired, and then obviously you don't want to trip balls either. Like, that's when it's just like you're stupid to do, you
But
know.
there's nothing like really destructive like what liquor does,
Yeah,
or like
no.
cocaine or anything else. Right?
None at all. I mean,
Which is why everyone's kind of moving towards that a little bit more.
even
So more than marijuana too, because the THC, and then also like the lung thing with like smoking and like vaping, people are avoiding that. They want like a more clean high with shrooms.
yeah, and I mean, I've even talked to some of the top DJ guys like recently, and they're doing the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
they're done drinking, like, you know, and shrooming has been one of those things where it's just like, you still kind of have a high, but it's not like an aggressive high. You're in control, no matter what, you know. And that's the beauty, like, you know, when you drink, once you like overdid 7 shots and you don't realize it and it hits you at once, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You know, at least microdosing, you know how much you're taking, and if you're like feeling good at that moment, you're good. You know, you don't need to like take more and just like, you know, you can probably take another piece like in an hour later or two, you know. That way you kind of you have control of how much you take, you know. It's like, for example, you smoke, like you eat an edible, like, you know, it's 5 milligrams, but like it could probably be more because it just got made into a gummy and all that, you know. Like, you kind of know if you control it by like eating pieces and stuff like that. So
Maybe we should get a pound. We just all split it, $250 in. So I think it's
bad.
$1,000 a pound. We
I'm
all
down.
put $250. That's a lot though, right?
that's a fuck ton of shrooms. You don't need that much.
it's
But
like a
between
yearly
4
supply.
though. It's
You
like
got to think about it. There's
you know?
there's 28 ounces in there's 28 grams in an ounce, right? How many ounces are in a pound?
16.
16. That's a fuck ton of shrooms.
Yes.
4 ounces.
We could
each.
probably do.
That's a
4
whole
ounces.
year's shrooms. That's like a year's supply almost, probably.
Do they go bad? No.
I don't know. I don't.
They do a little bit.
It's like the Quaaludes. Just get strong.
We could probably start with a quarter pound.
Quarter pound.
Yeah.
Let's
I think
go
so.
for the pound, bro. Just
I know.
fucking,
Might
you
as well. Fuck it.
Go for the quarter if it's
Every
dope,
day
Then
we do it.
then we go for the
I
pound.
start dealing that shit. In
To the DJs.
like, yo, I got so much excess shrooms. I'm gonna just start dealing this shit in my gigs. Hey, you're crooked, the shroom guy. Right?
Crooked Shrooms coming soon.
Like, I'm just trying to get rid of these shrooms.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets legalized and you could just start a freaking dispensary for that, you know?
I mean, they're gonna get on it already, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's nuts, man. Like, how just so much has changed in the past 2 years. Even with like when we first were talking and speaking about the event, to the pandemic, and we were talking, and when I met you in Austin, and then we just had South by Southwest, so much has passed, and it's just been a lot that's happened. And I don't even know you for that long, but I feel like you've changed so much in the past 2 years.
Oh man, I mean, yeah, it was one of those things where I realized, like, I think the number one thing was like job security was gone.
Yeah.
So it was just like,
we talk about this a lot, because you mentioned to me, I think when we had lunch, you were like, I don't just want to be a DJ, I want to be more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is that? I understand what you mean, but most DJs your age are like, I want to just be a superstar DJ. And you're kind of more realistic about the situation, or what is it?
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, like, you see some of the top guys are like past 40, like, like, unless you're in like a big market, you're really like, they're getting, it's a hard time for them to get booked right now, because there's this new generation, and like, they're not seeing the money they used to and all that. And like, I see it from like far away, and I start realizing, like, dude, if I go to that level and I don't do anything else, I'm fucked, And another thing the pandemic taught me was that job security is not there. Like, if everything closes again right now, do we have something to back up on? Like, what are you going to do, And then hence where, like, I started doing more music edits, I started, like, being more involved in like business, like with the owners and all that, because I want to learn those things. That way, whenever
like operations.
Yeah, and all that, because one day, like, I want to get out, still kind of be in nightlife, but I can sit in the background and see like what's going on. Like, if I want to open up a restaurant, like, cool, like I can learn all these things, and there's other ways to make income, right? And because like, being a rock star is cool, but it does not last forever. And that's what I tell these guys, like, appreciate what you have now, but do something with that money. Like, you can buy the most expensive Rolex, all the like expensive shoes and all that, but like, what's that going to do to you when you're like 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60? Like, eventually you phase out, the new generation comes in, the new young DJs come in, and they're going to book the young guys that have the new following, the TikToks and all that, And so you start realizing, like, damn, I don't want to be that, like, ever. Like, I want to do more. I want to be able to like show guys that, hey, like, you can be a, entertainment director, you can be a host, like, for like a venue and all that, and still be a DJ and still handle things that way. Because if you're already in nightlife and you're good at it, you can do more instead of just being a DJ. If you're a good producer, eventually, if you phase out and you're a good producer, you can be a ghost producer and still make money. Like, I know guys that were making a fuck ton of money during the pandemic, ghost producing. That way, whenever everything opened, they saw all these songs and they released an album. They were ready for touring and all that, And that's one thing I started thinking about, like, man, maybe I should start producing more, like, and then I got into the making music edits and all that, and that's helped me a lot too. Like, I've gotten to network with some of the like top DJs who are like, hey man, I play your music edits a lot and all that. So that's helped me. And I always tell like the young guys, like, just don't go collect a check. Be a brand, like, make yourself a brand, like, make yourself be a presence where, like, yo, if you book this guy, this is where you're going to get. You're not just going to get one thing,
Yeah. It's funny, like, I always think back when I first moved to Vegas, and it's like, never remember when the Light Group, they came up to you and like, hey, like, because Never was like very instrumental in bringing me out to Vegas. And then like they went to Never and was like, hey, would you like to be a music director? And then you were like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But what was your worry at that time to not take that opportunity? You just didn't want to like.
I didn't
deal
want
with the stress.
exactly. Yeah, at the time, yeah, I didn't want to deal with.
I mean,
and especially the people who I was dealing with,
Yeah.
would have had to deal with. I knew it wouldn't have been good.
Yeah.
So that's enough. That's one of the reasons why
I see your perspective, because I remember it was so chaotic and it was so everyone was getting yelled at and everyone was like,
yeah,
it was like a crazy time.
Mm-hmm.
But do you ever think back and think like maybe I should have tried it, or like you're just kind of like,
once in a while I do think maybe I should have tried it, gave it a shot, see what happens.
Yeah.
But I have no regrets though doing it.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a resume, right? That's your resume. Like, if you did it one time and let's just say you're good at it and you found your niche, like, you can go to the next company and be like, hey, this is my resume. This is what I've done. This is the resources I have. This is the connections I have.
Yeah.
Let's work. And then boom, it happens, And, that's the thing. Like, the more you know, the more you can help in nightlife, the more you become an asset. And that's why you're going to get booked more, or you're going to be used more. Like, hey, Christian, I'm doing this event. Any DJs that can help me out? And I'm like, here, these are some of the contacts, and that's what Nice did too. Like, that's what we both did,
Yeah.
Like, we got hit up. We were like, man, me and him were even talking about starting a company. Like, maybe we can start like a wedding company where we buy our own equipment. Because I hate doing weddings. He hated doing weddings, but we had guys that were really good at weddings. So we're like, let's just start a wedding company. Shoot, after hearing your wedding podcast, I was like, man, there's a lot of money there that would, that
there's a lot of money in events in general now,
Private
like
events.
just not even weddings, just any events in general, man. It's definitely a business worth building. You just need a good set. You need a good structure,
Right.
You need to like put together a very structured company with like procedures and everything like that. Because like if you set it up right, it's like that company will run itself for like 5 to 10 years or more with very little adjustments.
And then you just play once or twice a month, and just call it a day, there's just, you got to make sure you got different avenues in order for you to be different. And, because like I said, if I lose my hair at like 50 and I'm still DJing, I don't want to do that. Like,
Really?
Yeah, I just don't,
It's funny because I see older DJs and it actually, like, I don't know, like it makes me, it's inspiring to me.
That they're still going?
I'm about to say, I have no hair. I'm still. You lose your hair.
No, like, like Neva, it's inspiring to me. Like, it's funny, like, when I see him DJ, he's still on the new music. He still plays it kind of like better than a lot of the younger DJs. He can do mic work. And it's crazy. I was talking to somebody. I'm like, yo, why are we all still working? Like, a lot of my homies are in their 40s, late 30s. I'm like, why are we still working? Like, the younger generation should have took over by now.
Yep.
I think about that all the time as well.
But their approach to DJing is completely different from our approach because we came from like a reading a room, bottle service crowd, keeping the room. And their approach is they want to be Diplo.
Yeah.
They want to be the superstar.
They want to be a
Out the
superstar.
bat. Yeah.
So it's not about sometimes holding a room or bottle service. It's more about them than it is about,
And that's the problem too. Like, that was like the ruin of social media. Like, you got these guys that, got ghost produced and they blew up and they didn't even make the song, and that's still kind of sort of the formula now. Some of these guys are still like having pre-recorded sets, and I'm just like, damn, that's still a thing right now. Like,
Yeah, you're watching it. It's actually more normal now than ever, right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, look at that guy Sickick. Like, that guy is not DJing, and I mean, he's getting money.
He's getting booked. Yeah,
He's getting booked at your venues, right?
Nah,
that's your fault. That's your fault.
Bro, you know what's funny?
You booked him.
What's funny is like, we were sitting in the table and like we got offered like for it. My DJ side was just like, nah, don't do that. But if I would have done it at a business side, the way he sells out like the tickets,
he sells out though. Right?
He sells out, and I mean, he's making way more, 5 times more than what we got offered back in the day. And I was just like, and he's just doing a 30-minute pre-recorded set.
He only performs for 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Wow.
And he's getting
figured out.
probably
crazy.
He's getting like, from what I've been hearing, he's been getting like 50K.
50K.
30 minutes, bro.
30 minutes.
Pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded. Not even him.
Pretending like to touch those things, like, because he's using Serato, but you can't do all that in Serato. Come on, like, let's be real, like, And I'm just like, damn.
I saw some videos of Sickick like DJing like in live, and he's hitting and I thought I was like, oh, maybe he's really doing it, but he's not hitting. It's all pre-recorded.
It's all pre-recorded.
Wow.
For real.
Yeah,
it was really good to have you here.
I appreciate it.
And I'm really glad we got to talk about DJ Nice,
of course,
and show him some love and some tribute, and to express like just how much he did for Austin, and he was in New York, he's New York brethren, so we got to show
Rest
love.
in peace.
Man. He's always been really, really, really generous and so kind. So rest in peace. Thank you.
Yeah, man. There's days I wish I could text him now, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, the biggest thing is like keeping that legacy he did in Austin. So
Yeah.
rest in peace to Nice, man. Like for sure.
Yeah, man. CRG, thank you for coming through, man.
Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it.
If you want to watch more episodes from R.O.A.D Podcast, click either links on the left or the right. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and get updated on new uploads throughout the week. Peace.